guys, it's the RetrofloraPodcast. I'm Brenda.
And I'm Charmy, and we're just two crazy sisters with an opinion and a channel.
If you like true crime, conspiracies, and supernatural crap, then this is your channel. So today, Charmy, I have some creepy cryptids and creepy folklores for you.
What the heck's a cryptid?
Okay, cryptids are like Bigfoot, Slender Man, the Jersey Devil. Those are cryptids.
Oh, it's like creatures people make up?
Cryptids.
Okay, creatures people make up.
Anyway, we got creepy cryptids for you.
Without further ado, let's get into this.
Okay, so our first creepy cryptid is actually a folklore. And...
Okay, never mind. I had a question, but never mind.
What?
What's the difference between cryptic and a folklore?
Well, a cryptid is the creature, and a folklore is the story, like, that involves the creature.
Oh, okay.
So today we're going to talk about, and please you guys, forgive my pronunciation, the Qallupilluit. Well, we're going to talk about them. And you saw what they look like. They're
ugly.
They're very creepy. So, the Qallupilluit is an Inuit folklore about a mythical creature similar to the boogeyman who kidnaps children who are standing at the edge of the ice. The Inuit are the indigenous people of the Arctic and subarctic region of North America, Canada, and Greenland. According to the Inuit folklore, the Qallupilluit inhabits the freezing ice tundras of Alaska, Canada, and Greenland. They are sea-dwelling creatures, half human and half sea monsters, with long black hair, rough, scaly, bluish-green, slimy skin, and long webbed fingers. They are to smell strongly of sulfur and are incredibly ugly. And not my words, theirs, but, once you see this picture, they are not attractive. They wear an amultik, which is a traditional parka worn by the Inuit women with a built-in baby-carrying pouch, which they use to stuff children into before drowning them.
Oh my god!
Look, I said this was a creepy folklore, okay? It's not gonna end lovely.
Well.
Yeah. They are known also to have an eerie hum. So basically, if they see a child alone standing by the edge of the ice, they will grab them, put them in their amultik without a sound, and take them to their lair, where it's said they eat the children to stay immortal. Some say they keep the children forever in their ice lair. And just a creepy fact about it, sometimes they're known to tap underneath the ice to get the children's attention.
Oh, that's so creepy.
So creepy.
Why does it remind me of the Courage Cali Dog show?
Oh my god.
The one episode when the lady was underwater.
That episode scares me. Even to this day, if I watch that episode, I cannot watch it in a dark room. It's so scary to me. So I found this little story on Reddit, because, your girl loves Reddit. And it's a 2-sentence horror story. And it's by Grant Gorwood. And it says, I raced to the half-frozen beach as fast as I could while my daughter's screams echoed in the air along the scent of salt and sulfur. By the time I arrived to the shore, the scaly long-haired sculpin resembling fiend had my daughter in its grasp, and with a single screech, it paralyzed me so I could only watch helplessly as it stole my baby girl away.
How are you gonna explain this to the cops? It's like the girl with the dingo and her baby. No one believed her.
Yeah, but they're also on the ice tundras, so they could have fell through the ice.
They still not gonna believe her, man. They didn't believe the other girl. She was telling the truth.
I know. That is the Qallupilluit.
I can't say it.
Qallupilluit. Yeah. So you guys don't keep your kids near ice tundra edges. The next creepy cryptid we're going to talk about is the Rake. And I actually heard about this 10 years ago, and it scared the heck out of me. So, the Rake is a tall, pale, hairless humanoid creature with long limbs. It is described to look like a naked man or a large, hairless dog. It is 6 foot when standing, but usually it crawls on all fours. It has sharp teeth and claws, and white eyes that glow at night or in the darkness. In some footage, the Rake is shown to have no pupils. So here's a list of the powers and skills that the Rake has, okay? It is extremely intelligent, telepathic, immortal, and it can cause fear and suicide. It has enhanced stealth, strength, speed, and mobility, and the Rake is extremely hostile and aggressive.
So he's a vampire.
Girl, he worse than a vampire. It is reported to stalk people for years, learning everything it can about its victims, including their family, friends, and personal life. It doesn't care about its victims' age or physical condition. It also likes to torture its victims before killing them. It has been spotted in Europe, Asia, and the United States. And you guys, I looked at the...
So we go to Africa then.
I looked at the Rake on the like creepy wiki page. And here are the crimes that the Rake has committed. The crimes are stalking, serial murder, psychological and physical torture, kidnapping, burglary, vandalism, theft, man-eating, mutilation, assault, breaking and entry, enforced suicide, and mind rape. Girl, what the heck is mind rape?
I don't know, but honestly, these are crimes against a creature. You can't really enforce it.
Girl, I'm trying to figure out what he vandalized.
I mean, if he breaks in, he gonna vandalize your house.
Yeah, but like vandalizing, I don't know. I just feel like
he's like, he writes on the walls, "I'm coming for you."
I guess so, because that is one of his crimes.
But I guess I have a question. What attracts him to you? Like,
I don't know.
It's just random.
There's
no
random.
ring girl with the tape.
Nope, no ring. I know it would
go in the grudge's house.
It would be great if it had a reason why it attacked you. It has no reason why it attacks you.
It needs to get a life.
Its life is stalking and vandalism and breaking and entering.
Well, stop it. It's not nice.
So here's a story about the Rake on the No Sleep Reddit, and it's from This Is Opposite. 3 years ago, I had just returned from a trip from Niagara Falls with my family for the 4th of July. We were all very exhausted after a long day of driving, so my husband and I put the kids right to bed and called it a night. About 4 a.m., I woke up thinking my husband had gotten up to use the restroom. I used the moment to steal back the sheets, only to wake him in the process. I apologized and told him I thought he had gotten out of bed. When he turned to face me, he gasped and pulled his feet up from the end of the bed so quickly his knee almost knocked me out of the bed. He grabbed me and said nothing. After adjusting to the dark for half a second, I was able to see what caused a strange reaction. At the foot of the bed, sitting and facing away from us, there was what appeared to be a naked man or a large hairless dog of some sort.
That's just such a weird description.
Girl, that's what I said it was described as. Its body position was disturbing and unnatural, as if it had been hit by a car or something. For some reason, I was not instantly frightened by it. Girl, what in the world? He's sitting at the edge of your bed.
An intruder is in your house.
And he looked like he got hit by a car. But more concerned as to its condition. Aw, she's so sweet. Because I'm not. I'm kicking you off the bed. At this point, I was somewhat under the assumption we were supposed to help him. My husband was peering over his arms and knee tucked into a fetal position, occasionally glancing at me before returning to the creature. In a fury of motion, the creature scrambled around the side of the bed and then crawled away in a flailing sort of motion right along the bed until it was less than a foot from my husband's face. The creature was completely silent for about 30 seconds, or probably closer to 5. It just seemed like a while, just looking at my husband. The creature then placed its hand on my husband's knee and ran into the hallway leading to the kids' room. I screamed and ran for the light switch, planning to stop him before he hurt my children. When I got to the hallway, the light from my bedroom was enough to see it crouching and hunched over about 20 feet away. It turned around and looked directly at me, covered in blood. I flipped the switch on the wall and saw my daughter, Clara. The creature ran down the stairs while my husband and I rushed to help our daughter. She was very badly injured and spoke only once more in her short life. She said, "He is the Rake." My husband drove his car into the lake that night while rushing our daughter to the hospital. He did not survive. Being from a small town, news got around pretty quickly. The police were helpful at first, and the local newspaper took a lot of interest as well. However, the story was never published and the local television news never followed up either.
I have a question. So, he killed the daughter, and then when the dad was driving away, he got the dad to crash?
I don't think he got the dad to crash. I just think he crashed.
And he left without his wife?
I guess he was rushing to take the daughter and to the hospital, and I guess she said children, so I'm assuming she has more than one kid, so she probably didn't want the other kid to go, so she probably stayed home with it. Kid, not it, not the Rake.
She stayed home with the other kids while that monster is still out there?
Girl, yes. I can't make sense of it. I wasn't there.
Like, I feel like we should all go together.
Well, it's a good thing that they didn't all go together. For several months, my son Justin and I stayed in a hotel near my parents' house. After we decided to return home, I began looking for answers myself. I eventually located a man in the next town over who had a similar story. We got in contact and began talking about our experiences. He knew of 2 other people in New York who had seen the creature we refer to as the Rake. It took the 4 of us about 2 solid years of hunting on the internet and writing letters to come up with a small collection of what we believed to be accounts on the Rake. None of them gave any details, history, or follow-up. One journal had an entry involving the creature in its first 3 pages, but never mentioned it again. A ship's log explained nothing of the encounter, only saying that they were told to leave by the Rake. What the heck? He told them so he could speak?
Well, how did the little girl know that was his name too?
True, and it says he's extremely intelligent, so
and
I guess
telepathy?
I guess you don't need to speak then. That was the last entry in the log. There were, however, many instances where the creature's visits was one of a series of visits with the same person. Multiple people also mentioned being spoken to, my daughter included. This led us to believe if the Rake had visited any of us before our last encounter. I set up a digital recorder near my bed and left it running all night, every night, for 2 weeks. I would tediously scan through the sounds of me rolling in my bed each day when I woke up. By the end of the 2nd week, I was quite used to the occasional sound of sleep while blurring through the recording at 8 times the normal speed. This still took me almost an hour every day. On the first day of the 3rd week, I thought I heard something different. What I found was a shrill voice. It was the Rake. It was the Rake. I can't listen to it long enough to even begin to transcribe it. I haven't let anyone listen to it yet. All I know is that I've heard it before, and now I believe that it spoke when it was sitting in front of my husband. I don't remember hearing anything at the time, but for some reason the voice on the recorder immediately brings me back to that moment. The thoughts that must have gone through my daughter's head make me very upset. I have not seen the Rake since he ruined my life, but I know that he has been in my room while I slept. I know and I fear that one night I'll wake up to see him staring at me.
It seems to me that he only attacks you if he talks to you. Like, he talked to the girl, he killed her. He talked to the dad. Oh, that's the mom. Assume he talked to the dad, and that's why he drove his car off a cliff. Not cliff, into a lake.
I don't know. But this comment is crazy. It says, I'm hoping that since he's all naked and stuff, it's too cold for him to come to Alaska. And then this person said he'll rake you with his nipples instead.
What?
So yeah, that's the Rake. I hope I never see him. Well, he's a creepypasta, so. Yeah. Or as Charmy likes to say, a freaky fettuccine.
Freaky fettuccine!
Spooky spaghetti! The last story is the Dark Watchers. The Dark Watchers are a group of ominous, dark, human-like creatures who stand and observe travelers on the hills, ridges, and peaks of the San Lucia Mountains in California.
Oh, crap.
Or is it Lucia?
Probably Lucia.
Lucia Mountains in California.
We live in California.
Sure do. Some sources say they also stand on Mount Mingus and Mount Graham in Arizona. But I only seen like 1 or 2 sources that said that. So they're mostly in California, y'all. Sorry.
Dang.
They are described as tall giants, around 7 to 10 feet tall, featureless dark silhouettes, often seen with a brimmed hat or and a walking stick. They supposedly watch people who wander into the mountains and are not aggressive. So they kind of just watch you and stare at you, which I guess I appreciate you don't attacking me, but also I don't want to be stared at. Like,
girl, it's gonna be staring at for a few minutes, then just go.
What if you're camping in there? They're gonna stare at you all night.
Camp somewhere else.
They are usually seen around twilight or dawn. No one has ever seen them up close because when approached, they disappear. The Dark Watchers' stories go back hundreds of thousands of years, dating back to the Chumash, who were the indigenous people who lived along the central coast of California and the Channel Islands, although they're not mentioned in their mythology. So what I'm thinking is like the pre-colonial settlers probably just made up that the legends came from them. When the Spanish settlers migrated to the area in the 1700s, they claimed they saw the Dark Watchers, who they called Los Vigilantes Oscuros, which means
good accent right there.
Which means the Dark Vigilance. John Steinbeck, the author of Grapes of Wrath and of Mice and Men, even briefly mentioned the Dark Watchers in one of his short stories.
Oh my god, I remember reading that at school.
And so I found the insert on Wikipedia, and it says the Dark Watchers are most famously given a brief mention in John Steinbeck's Flight, included in the 1938 collections of his short stories, The Long Valley. Pepe looked suspiciously back every minute or so. His eyes sought the tops of the ridges ahead. Once on the white barren spur, he saw a black figure for a moment, but he looked quickly away, for it was one of the Dark Watchers. No one knew who the Watchers were, nor where they lived, but it was better to ignore them and never show interest in them. They did not bother one who stayed on the trail and minded his own business. Isn't that really creepy that Steinbeck wrote that in his book?
Yeah.
Yeah. His son, Thomas Steinbeck, claimed he too saw the Dark Watchers. Robinson Jeffers, a poet, also wrote about the Dark Watchers. Robinson Jeffers, in the titular poem of his 1937 collection, Such Counsel You Gave to Me and Other Poems. He thought it might be one of the Watchers, who are often seen in the length of coast range forms that look human to human eyes, but certainly not human. They come from the behind ridges to watch, but when he approached it, he recognized the shabby clothes and pale hair and even the averted forehead and concave line from the eye to the jaw, so that he was not surprised when the figure turned towards him in the quiet twilight showed his own face. Then it melted and merged into the shadow beyond.
What?
So yeah, somebody else claims to have seen the Dark Watchers. However, scientists believe the Dark Watchers to be illusions or hallucinations.
They're all hallucinating.
Everyone's hallucinating, apparently. I don't know. All I know is that I'm not even over that part of California, so I'm not too worried.
Just never go camping over there.
And if you do,
well, the good thing is that they aren't aggressive.
If you mind your business, they seem to leave you alone. Okay, and this is the last story. It comes from Erucius, and it's 2 months ago. And it says, I met the Dark Watchers.
It's scary that it's 2 months ago.
I know, huh? I like when it says like 20 years ago. Okay, well, Reddit probably wasn't here 20 years ago, but I've been sitting on this one for a while, but I think it's time. This happened about 3 years ago. I was without doubt the worst kind of hiker. You know those guys who are all leave no sign, bagging their garbage, burying their poop, cleaning up their campsites, respecting nature's natural beauty, and all that? Yeah, that wasn't me. I like camping. My parents liked camping, but there was always a mentality of the woods will take care of things. I watched my dad leave a whole cooler full of empty beer cans at the site one time when I was 8. Oh my god, your parents are terrible. We bought a couch with us on a camping trip once. Oh my god.
That is some country stuff right there.
No, for real. Low key, like if I had like a couch that was easy to take out, I might take a couch. No, I won't, because I don't want to bring that couch heavy back in my house, though. That's the other thing.
That too. From Family Guy, when they took the couch from the dump in the Star Wars episode, like, leave that couch.
That was funny, and now the couch came in clutch, though. We bought a couch with us on a camping trip once, just because Dad knew there was a ravine nearby. Broken fishing rods left by the creek. Garbage right on the ground. Hell, we left a whole tent once because Dad couldn't get it back in the bag. We didn't use the campgrounds either. Mom and Dad would pack up and find somewhere in the middle of nowhere and just live off the land for a couple of days and then leave their crap behind.
Dark Watchers are like, what the heck is wrong with these people?
Probably like, I just, every time they see them, like, ugh, I can't stand them. Why they keep coming back here? I can't say that this is why I am the way I am. I know better than to litter and be a pig, but in my head, the woods will always just take care of themselves. It's always been here for millions of years. Why is my trash and stuff gonna mess with that? If my styrofoam cooler kills a couple of trees, then they didn't deserve to be here, right? Oh my god!
Honestly, I'm just wondering what this had to do with the story.
Well, I guess we're about to find out.
Okay,
Because the next line says, that's what I thought, at least. I go camping about 3 times a year. The start of spring, the start of summer, and the end of summer. I live in California, so I always just pack up, get some food and beer and recreational greenery, and head out to somewhere remote. A buddy of mine from work hadn't shut up about this overlook about an hour from the city, right outside the San Lucia mountain range, and I figured I'd go crash out there for a weekend. Unlike my parents, I'm not a living off the land kind of person. I brought food, I brought stuff, and I intended to do nothing but sit in the wilderness, sleep in my hammock, and get high. Oh my god, I really didn't grasp the fact that his parents were really living off the land. They didn't bring no food. They just brought couches and beer. I called out Friday and found the perfect spot by lunchtime. It was gorgeous, overlooking the valley and so remote that if I were to get really hurt, I'd probably die out here with no one the wiser. I set up my hammock, set out my fire logs, got some water just in case, and just kind of spread out a bit. I made some lunch, sandwiches, rolled a joint, and I just kind of got mellow for a bit as the day rolled on. It was nice out here, just watching the clouds and listening to nature. I was soon pretty well lit, and as the sun started creeping down, I set about lighting my fire. There was probably a burn ban in effect, but I had water and I didn't care. Out here, no one was going to see me anyway. I started roasting hot dogs as the sun cut a fantastic line across the sky. That was the first time I noticed them. I remember looking up and whispering as I mistook them for rangers or cops or something. They were just silhouettes on the ridge not far from my camp, 3 or 4 of them, and they had those wide, flat top hats like park rangers or the guy on the oatmeal box. I watched them for a minute, thinking I was busted, but they just stood there. They didn't move, they didn't call out, but I know they saw me. My fire had to be visible for a ways at this height, and the longer they stayed there, the more creeped out I felt. Why were they just standing there? If they wanted me to leave, then why not tell me to leave? I didn't know, but once the sun set, I noticed they had vanished and I just kinda kept an eye peeled. I had my gun, a big old .45, so I wasn't worried, but I suddenly wished I had a tent to sleep in instead of a hammock. I sparked up again after eating a pack of hot dogs. Dang, he ate a whole pack of hot dogs. Well, I guess he is. No, he was cooking them with a fire. Oh. But I guess he is sparking up, so I guess...
You got the munchies.
Okay, but a pack of hot dogs comes with 8, so... Sometimes 10, so that's crazy.
I don't know, sometimes, like, when y'all got the munchies, you eat everything.
I sparked up again after eating a pack of hot dogs, though, and that took care of any thought of the shadow guys or whatever. I dozed off in my hammock, but I dreamed about them that night too. I dreamed that they were in my campsite, standing around and watching me. Oh no, I don't like the thought of somebody watching me while I'm sleeping.
What if they're just like scientists and they're just observing human behavior?
Can I be discreet about the staring?
Yes, yeah.
They were like the outlines of people, like when someone stands in front of the sun and all you get is a burnt out image of them. They didn't have any features, no eyes or anything, and I was frozen there as they looked at me. They didn't say anything, they just watched me, and it felt like being sleep paralyzed the whole night. I woke up after dawn, almost fell out of my hammock, and started making breakfast as I stirred up the ashes of last night's fire. I wondered if it had really been a dream or not, but I felt like it must have been. Why would they come and look but not say anything? All my stuff was there too, down to the hot dog wrappers.
They're observing you.
I'd left out on the ground next to the fire and tossed it absent-mindedly as I ate my eggs and ham. This guy really just be littering and he just don't even care. The ice was still holding out. It was spring and not too hot yet, so I decided to go on a forest pub crawl today.
The heck does that mean?
Translation: I put a bunch of beers into my backpack and walked out into the woods so I could have a drunk hike. I guess that's what that means. A drunk hike is a forest pub crawl. That's crazy.
And then he's like, oh my god, I can't believe I'm lost. Really? You can't believe you're lost? You're drunk and going on a hike.
I spent about 5 hours hiking in the woods. Wow, that is a long time. Wait, never mind. I went hiking for... Well, the longest thing I went hiking for is like 3 hours. Maybe 4. Tossing my dead soldiers into the trees as I finished them. That's what he's calling his beers.
His dead soldiers?
Some of them broke. Most of them didn't. But I couldn't shake the feeling that something was following me as I hiked in the woods.
Maybe if you stop littering, they'll stop following you.
Probably. I never saw anything. It wasn't like I spotted someone hiding behind a tree, but it was like deep pockets of shadows that shouldn't have been there. It was midday, the sun was high, and I should have had major visibility. Even so, I found myself looking around as the crawling feeling just got worse and worse. Some of it was being drunk in the hot woods with no water. And then I found a stream and I plunged my face into it to get a little clarity. You know, I'm scared to drink from streams and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because of parasites and stuff that live in there. Mm-hmm. Even though I heard that if the water is running, that
parasites can't. It's still
water. Then you don't drink. You probably shouldn't drink it. But if it's running, you probably won't get.
But I'm still interested.
Yeah, girl, I would be doing like Katniss and dropping those little drops in my water bottle. Yeah, or boiling your water though. Yeah. You can boil it. I drank a little. Dad always said running water was fine to drink from. And then something snapped, not far from me. I looked up like a zebra at a watering hole. I looked around trying to find what was stalking me. There was nothing, just the quiet forest and the gently rushing stream. No, I didn't believe that. I had felt stalked all day, and as I watched the trees, I felt sure that something moved out there. I got up and started running, the zebra analogy too hard to break. And I kept waiting for the claws to sink in, the teeth to bite, and the hot breath to fall on the back of my neck. You know, I think at that point, if I heard a snap, I would be thinking, like, am I getting hunted too? Like, I feel like somebody's watching me and all that stuff. So,
or maybe you had too many beers.
Well, I'm just saying, I would feel like somebody was like not somebody, but like an animal was like tracking me or something like that, because I am in the forest. It was going to come at any minute. I could feel it, and then I tripped over a fallen log I had just laid there and waited for the end. It would get me now. It would get me, and I'd be dead. I'd be dead. I'd be nothing. Nothing happened. I lay there for nearly 10 minutes, just knowing it would get me when I moved, but it never came. Then the ants started to bite my leg, and I sat up and swiped at them.
Okay, what kind of ants? Because not all ants bite. Now, the fire ants, yeah, they do bite.
Well, whatever answers were, they was biting.
I remember I accidentally stepped in a bed of fire ants. I didn't realize it, and I just felt like stings up my legs. I looked down, and all these ants were running up my legs. I had to run to the bathroom, turn on the bathtub faucet. I had to like wash my legs off. It hurt so bad.
Oh my god, I've never been bit by. Well, I have been bit by an ant, but I can't imagine like multiple bites all over me.
Girl, yeah, it was so bad.
I would just feel like that scene in Saw where he threw her in the needle pit. Like,
oh, yeah.
That's what I would think it feels like. I had fallen next to an ant bed that I had accidentally stomped on in my haste, and they were mad as hell about it. I ended up going back to the creek to wash them off. A haphazard trip that took another 10 minutes, and I was still looking around like a scared animal. I set my leg in the creek until it stopped throbbing, and then made my miserable way back to the camp. It was not as much fun walking back as it had been walking out, and I was jittery and tense the whole way. The sun was starting to slip down, and I absolutely didn't want to be out here when it got dark. Too many things could be crouching around here in the dark. I made it back to camp before it got dark, and as I cooked my dinner, the sun started to ride low again. It was more hot dogs tonight, cooked over the fire, but I couldn't finish them all.
Wait, you're being stalked and your first thought isn't to leave?
Nope, it's to eat more hot dogs. I was too scared to look away from the ridge, and I ended up burning more than one of them. They tasted fine either way, but I had eyes only for the shadows on the ridge. They had the same wide-brimmed hats. A few of them had canes, but none of them were really people. They were like shadows that burned images. Oh, the burned images at Hiroshima.
What?
That's what it says. The photo negatives that sometimes get burned into old photographs. All of them at once, and none of them at all. They just stood there, watching me. They didn't move. They didn't stir. And as the sun sank, I became colder and colder. I should have gone to my truck and left, but I didn't. I made myself put it out of my mind. I convinced myself that I was being foolish. Then it got dark, and I got into my hammock and tried to get comfortable, but it wouldn't come. My legs hurt. I was sunburned. I was hungover. I was dehydrated. I was, but ultimately I was afraid. I was afraid that when I closed my eyes, they would get me. I was afraid they would carry me off in the night and I would never be seen again. They would find my truck and campsite, but never me.
Well, you could have left.
And stop littering. Maybe, I thought as I finally nodded off, someone would look up one afternoon at a sunset and see me on the ridge just watching. I must have fallen asleep. And I like to think I dreamed what came next. I want to, but I can't convince myself that I did. I woke up and saw them standing over me. Oh, see, no. You should have left. I could see them, and not just the ones in front of the fire. They were darker than the night somehow, and they began to creep closer to me. Crept is the wrong word, though. They slid along the ground like ghosts in some of the horror movies I watched as a kid. They hemmed me in, my body shaking, but my voice stuck in my throat. I didn't dare move. I didn't dare speak. And as they knelt around me, I heard whispering. It was a terrible sound, and it follows me into my sleep sometimes. You've come here to the womb of creation and leave your waste. You are a brainless creature fit only to destroy things made by yours betters. You burn the wood of creatures who has existed before you were more than a twinkling in your father's eye. You destroy a place that was new when this planet cooled. You throw your trash into a home shared by 100 billion organisms. You claim to be the superior here, the better. You're nothing, and you will die and be forgotten. Dang, oh my god, if somebody told me...
I thought they weren't aggressive.
That's not really aggressive. I guess he just, like, he's just like, dude, you're a fool. Like, he's basically just giving it to him. On and on, they whispered endlessly to me, telling me how worthless I was.
I mean, dude, they ain't far off.
How I was a nuisance and nothing, and how I would never change. Dang. Then one of them rose over my hammock. His body seemed to hang over me like a shadow cast from above. He looked like them, but he was clearly their boss or something. And then he brought the king down on nothing but air. I heard it crack like a thunderbolt. Go back to your stinking pit, but be warned. Next time you come to our woods and ruin our place, you will not be allowed to scamper off so easily. You are a stunted thing who has taught badly, and ignorance is forgivable. If you persist in this folly, however, we will not be so kind again. Now go, it yelled, and I opened my eyes to find that it was morning. I was laying in my hammock. Piss dribbled down my leg, and I knew that I better not be here when the sun set. I cleaned up everything. I picked up all my garbage. I cleaned up the site. I poured water over the fire and mixed it with dirt like they always say to on TV. And then I took everything with me and ran for my truck.
Oh, bet you leave now, huh?
That was Sunday, and I've been kind of afraid to leave my apartment. What if they're waiting out there for me? What if they find me slipping? Or don't like that I don't recycle or something like that? What if I offend them and they drag me back into the woods to be punished?
It seems like they only attack you if you litter in the forest.
Yeah, and they didn't really attack you, bro. They literally, I mean, they definitely
told you off.
They definitely called you every name in the book without calling you every name in the book. But that's part of why I'm writing this. If you're like me, someone who doesn't care about their mess or just leaves the woods wrecked, then watch out. Don't let the Dark Watchers catch you messing up their forest, because they do more than just watch. Don't let them see you slipping, or you might find out what sort of punishment awaits those who anger them. This person in the comments says, is it wrong that I wish this would happen to everyone who leaves a mess when hiking or camping? Y'all, don't be littering though. Dark Watcher's not playing. Well, at least in California, don't be littering. And that's a Dark Watcheress.
I have all of them. They're like the least scary.
I know. I'm kind of on their side though, because like...
Well, in that last story, yes.
Well, they just watch. They actually never did anything to anybody.
Well, I don't like being watched.
I know, but I think they're just like watching to make sure like you're treating their land
right.
Yeah. And those are the creepy cryptids.
Well, some of them.
Some of them. Although I kind of like this series, and I think I might do creepy cryptids more often. There's some weird cryptids out there, like some like
the Mothman
or the Jersey Devil.
What the hell?
Yeah, I actually heard about that. I didn't hear like the whole story, but I have heard about the Jersey Devil. Well, you've made it to the end.
You must really like the sounds of our high-pitched voices and quirky commentary.
You might as well like and subscribe to our channel and hit that bell to be notified every time we drop new content. If you want to follow our social medias, they will be linked in the description box below.
Bye!
Bye, you guys. Be careful.